I feel like the world is going to go to war soon. Can we agree?
I love how Americans are like, soon. This is the thing with America, you keep forgetting you're not the world. During the pandemic, I started a series called 10 on 10. It is where we wrote fresh material the night before a show to talk about the uncomfortable things in the world, to see if we could tackle them with stand-up comedy.
Ready?
It is very, very good to see you. I'd love to talk about war.
I was with an Indian military general about 5 years ago, and he said, beta, the world is like a pressure cooker. Every 60 or 70 years, the whistle needs to blow, and the pressure needs to reset. And that reset is a worldwide conflict.
And then like last year, I met a man from the American military. And I was like, sir, the world is like a pressure cooker. Every 60 years, the whistle needs to blow and the pressure needs to reset. And he was like, what the fuck is a pressure cooker? And I was like, oh, we're going to war for sure. A, look at the disparity in knowledge. And B, I think most wars in the world have been fought between people who don't know what a pressure cooker is and people who know what a pressure cooker is.
For a global conflict to occur or for a war to occur, you need two things. You need old men with power and young men with hatred. Very tough to pull off, right? Because the only thing that young men want is the power of old men, and the only thing that powers old men is the hatred of the young. Now, they have to... Because young men are not born with hatred, they are born with anger. And hatred is just anger plus time minus love to the power of celibacy.
Do not discount the role of celibacy in global politics. It's a big thing. Like, okay, think back to the last time you had sex, like good sex, if your memory goes back that far. Or just... the kind of sex where you have to go to IKEA the next morning. Right? For either furniture or linen, your choice.
Think about it. You just got done, you're lying there. In that moment, what are your beliefs? What is your ideology? Do you have any? That's the world I want to live in, all right? If I
ever start a political party, it's not going to be like the DNC or the RNC or the BJP or the INC. I'm going to start the PNC. The Post-Nut Clarity Party. Where every morning we come into Parliament and then in the middle of a session there's a 15-minute break. We all go back into a private room and just... Then we come out and run the country.
To infect young men with hatred, you have to introduce them to two concepts. The concept of the brother and the other. The brother and the other. The brother and the other kind of sounds like a children's book or like a very specific video on Pornhub. And what you have to do is you have to humanize the brother and you have to dehumanize the other. It's history's oldest con, it's fascism's greatest hit, where people who have stolen all of the power convince people who have no power that their power is going to be stolen by other people who have no power. What you do is you compliment the other to make them seem strong, and then you twist that compliment into a threat.
Black people are beautiful, athletic, and have huge dicks that they will use to fuck your wife. Jewish people are smart and amazing at business, and they will use that to steal your money. That's how it's done. Indian people. There's a lot of them. No, seriously, there's a lot of them. Indian people, we don't have like a thing, right? Maybe that's our thing. Indian people, they don't have a thing. So they could be anything. Which really is the big Indian strength, is we could be anything. Indian people have something nobody else in the world has. Americans, I'm going to explain it. It's called jugaad. All right? Jugaad is the hustle. Indian people have an innate ability to look at a system and a process that exists and go like this. Jugaad.
You know how white people want to go to Mars? Yeah? Indian people don't want to go to Mars. We want to design the rocket. And we will wave at the white people as they explode in the sky. Or all of them go to Mars, allowing the domestic real estate price to drop, and we buy apartments in Manhattan. Jugaad. Jugaad. Indian people know that in a vibrant democracy, a government is supposed to present you with solutions that lead to the harmony and welfare of its citizens. We are taught this in every single history and civics textbook. But if we edit the textbook,
Jugaad. To follow the rules without respecting them. That's Jugaad. Now what happens when you other somebody in a minority community is they start to feel monitored and you make them feel answerable while the brother feels entitled, right? Like I'm a majority community. I do not get to take credit for the behavior of the best Hindu, and I do not get blamed for the behavior of the worst Hindu. So why is every Muslim responsible for Osama bin Laden? You cannot blame every black person for Kanye West. If you listen to Kanye, you have to blame the Jews, apparently. I don't know how this works. I feel like black people, Kanye West is to you what Kamala Harris is to us. Not really ours. This is only little bit.
now how they reinforce this narrative of othering is through the mainstream media. Can we agree that the mainstream media has lost their principles? Can we agree? Yes? And that's not even a surprise. But I know that you don't miss your principles, but do you at least miss your testicles? And look, I feel bad for them as well. They have to go to bed every night knowing nobody will ever remember them as a journalist, just as somebody who screamed really loud. And I don't even think they're screaming that loudly. I just think that empty spaces amplify sound. And all they are is speakers for somebody else's voice. The only difference between an Indian journalist and a JBL speaker is when the JBL fucks up, you can charge it properly, all right? And given the political climate in our country, our journalists are way more portable, let's be honest. The first bullet in every single war is the fourth pillar.
And so through the mainstream media, they start this narrative of taking you back. We're going to make America great again. Restore India's glory. Take you back. And it's not taking you back to a better world. It's taking you back to a world where the old people felt young and valid. The world wasn't a safer place. It's just that your dick worked and your prostate was a normal size. And there wasn't all this technology you didn't understand. The only thing that vibrated were earthquakes. And this, as uncomfortable as we are,
brings me to my thesis point. We need to stop respecting our elders.
show them respect. Just don't feel it inside. That's all I'm saying, all right? Just touch their feet and point them in the direction of a buffet and push them. That's all I want.
Be careful of old people, they are desensitized to death. They are. Your last day of work is when you take a shit in your boss's office. They're not going to be around to smell the fumes. Have you figured out yet that it's your office?
If simply being alive is an achievement, then the youngest Syrian deserves more respect than the oldest American. And I don't know who the oldest American is. I just think you might have elected him. I'm not sure. I feel bad. I feel like Granddad was just trying to have a bowl of soup. And you guys burst in the room like, you're president now. He's like, what? I can't be president. I have 30% vision. To me, every house is a White House.
India's the youngest country in the world. I'll say that again. India's the youngest country in the world. If you want to be Prime Minister of India, there has to be a 3-part test of youth. There has to be. Number 1, you have to understand science and technology. Number 2, physical fitness. Number 3, you have to prove that you have had consensual sex with somebody in the last year of your life. Important to run my country. Let's go backwards. Consensual sex. Super important, yes? How are you going to get the economy out of a hole if you can't look? Physical fitness. Super important. How about a simple test? At the same time, both of us touch your toes. Number 3, understanding of science and technology. If you say you want to be Prime Minister of India, somebody runs up to you with a cell phone, and the cell phone has an eggplant emoji on it. And if you don't go hee hee, you can't be Prime Minister of India.
And I know you're like, Veer, you're being very ageist right now. You're fucking right, I'm being ageist, but so are the people who send you off to die. And I'm perfectly placed in the middle. I see young people who are obsessed with their tomorrow and old people who are obsessed with their yesterday, and both you bastards are fucking up my today. There is going to be a war.
When the next war happens, it's not going to be army versus army. I promise you it's not. The world will be ended by 2 virgins with PlayStation controllers who will fire nukes at each other. That's it. They'll stumble out of their mom's basement and sit in front of a screen. When Oppenheimer detonated the atom bomb, he said, "And now I have become the Lord of Death. When this world ends, the last thing we will hear is, it's giving cringe."
America, it's not going to be a war that you understand. It's not going to be like, the allies versus... There are no allies in the world anymore. I feel like America, if you stand there expecting to be like Captain America, like just like, Avengers! Assemble! You will very quickly discover you are in a DC movie. And Batman is old and Superman is dead. And the Flash is going to jail and Wonder Woman is bombing Palestine, alright?
The next war is not even going to be good versus evil. It's not even going to be truth versus lies. It will be reality versus reality. It will be truth versus truth. Your truth versus their truth.
We won't even need to build weapons anymore. Remember how throughout world wars, billionaires would start pivoting their industries to make weapons? Remember that? Why don't they do that anymore? Why is every single billionaire trying to buy a social media platform or a mainstream media outlet? It's because you're the weapon. Your attention is the ammunition. They know that in a world in which you feel like your reality is threatened, we will do horrible things to each other, to each other, to each other. It will begin with you doing something to another.
And then you'll do it to somebody who loves the other.
Somebody who works with the other.
And then somebody who talks about the other.
And then somebody who's married to the other.
And then at some point there will be so many others, you will turn around and realize you are out of brothers.
And the only thing you have left is fathers.
And when history looks upon you unkindly, you will blame it on some gigantic dictator above you, but really you submitted to a dictator inside you.
The device in your hand tells you that your way of life is under threat right now.
And across the room is another who looks nothing like you and who believes something different. There is a device in their hand too.
And were you to reach out your hand to that person and shake their hand because they're just as scared as you are, you might be threatened. Or you might save the goddamn world.
Or maybe you save the fucking world. Which one is true?
Which one is real?